Hi, I'm Kenny Joya. Welcome to another one of my tutorials. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you Reaper from the ground up. So this is Reaper. In addition, we're going to highlight some of the great features added to this newer version, Reaper 6. Reaper is a powerful recording and editing program for PC, Mac, and Linux. What makes it so special is that it's simple and completely customizable. In other words, instead of changing how we work, we can make Reaper work the way we do. So if you're coming from another DAW and switching to Reaper 6, you can change all the key commands, toolbars, menus, and even the mouse behaviors to work how you're most comfortable. And if Reaper is your first DAW, you can create your own way of working with the program. The possibilities are endless. So instead of you learning to use Reaper, Reaper can adjust to you. So let's go over the basics. When we first open Reaper, it looks like this. Right over here is the arrangement window, and to the left is where we'll have our tracks. Down here is the mixer. Let's hide that for now. So we have a bit more room. Right now, we have no tracks, but we can create tracks very easily just by double-clicking right over here. Double-click with our mouse, and we have tracks. So it's very easy to add new tracks to our projects, and also very easy to delete them. Just select them and hit delete on a computer keyboard, and they're gone. One of the most unique things about Reaper is that any track can contain any type of media. There are no dedicated MIDI tracks, audio tracks, video tracks, or even aux or bus tracks. There are no track types. So any track we create can contain any of them, or all of them if we want. We can even make a track a folder that contains many tracks inside that folder. But we'll get to that a bit later. Now, the way Reaper works is it plays back on media, whether it be audio, MIDI, or video, from left to right. So any items that are in this window are going to play back in that order, based on the tempo we choose. And right up here, we have our timeline or ruler. It could be divided by bars and beats, minutes and seconds, time code, or even samples. So let's drag in some audio by going to our hard drive, which is the Explorer on PC or the Finder on Mac. And let's drag in some audio to our tracks. So I'm going to grab this drum audio right here and drag and drop it right to bar 2 on the timeline. If we let go, it gets imported into Reaper. And it snaps on the grid because you have snapping turned on right over here by default. So if we play it, we should hear a drum loop. And we do. And also notice that our track becomes auto-named based on the file we dragged in. Before, it had no name, and after, it's called drums. So let's drag in a few more files. Let's do a piano, and instead of dragging it to a track, we'll drag it to the space right below the tracks. Right down here. Again, we can snap it right in the grid, and let go, and that creates a new track, again, auto-named based on the file we dragged in. So we should have a piano along with the drums. And again, we snapped it right to the grid. Let's bring in one more. We have a synth file right here. Drag and drop it. Now we have 3 files that are all playing on top of each other. And we could drag them earlier or later to taste. We can bring in the synth a bit later. Now these audio files are called items or media items. And we can delete them or cut them and paste them to different sections. We could undo our moves or redo them as many times as we want. We could trim the items on the front like this. See the cursor changes? We could trim the front or the back or on all the files together. Front or back. We could loop them, just select them and drag them out like this, and then they loop as far as we drag them. We could fade them in by going to the upper left corner, see the cursor changes, and fade it in, or fade it out, or do it to all of them together. If they're all selected, just fade them in, or fade them out. And it sounds like this. Now the section over here by our tracks is called the Track Control Panel, or TCP. Here we can adjust the volume of our tracks, or mute them, or solo them. Let's mute the piano and synth, and adjust the volume on the drums. And bring in the piano and mix it to taste. And the synth. And we could solo them with the solo button right here. And again, mute them from here. We can also pan our tracks between the left and right speakers. Let's put the piano to the left and the synth to the right. We can put them back to the center by double-clicking. And we can add effects to our tracks right over here with the effects button. But we'll go over that a bit later. And with the routing button, we can add sends to our tracks and send them from one track to another. But we'll go over that a bit later as well. And we can also automate all the controls on our tracks with the envelopes over here. Our volume, our pan, our mute, and anything else that's on this track. And we can also do this from the mixer. Go to View, Mixer, and down over here, we have our faders instead of knobs, and all the other controls that are in the TCP, or Track Control Panel. They're also in the mixer. And so we can see this better. We could drag the mixer and float it right here to create a separate window for the mixer. And readjust the size of our faders like this. So you can remix the song from the mixer. It works both ways. And we can also readjust our tempo. It's 116 right now. Let's make it faster at 125. Now the song plays back a bit faster. or make it slower at 100. And we could also adjust the rate. Let's put it back to 116 and slow it down with the rate knob over here. Which plays it back slower, but also adjusts the pitch. We'll go faster, or double click to go back to normal. We could also adjust the track heights individually, like this, or just the width of the track control panel, like this, to see more or less, or even nothing. And we can use the toolbar as well, up here, to adjust things or for visual feedback of what we're doing. Like this button over here is going to lock our items. So if we choose it, we can see that it's on, and now we can't move our audio. Turn it off, and we can. So we could lock things from here. And we could see that snapping is turned on. We could turn it off, and it no longer snaps. Turn it back on, and it does. And we could view our grid lines or not, and a whole bunch of other things we'll go over later. Down over here is the transport. We could view it down here or hide it right here to create more room for our tracks. And we could show it again right here. We could adjust record, play, turn on looping, on and off, stop and pause, see where we are in the song, see our selection, our tempo, and our rate. We could zoom with the mouse wheel or a trackpad in and out, or scroll left and right, up and down. And we could right click anything in Reaper and get a menu for that context. For example, we could select a media item and right click that and get a contextual menu right here, dealing with items. Or we could right click our track and get a contextual menu for our tracks, or for a mute, or a solo, or the ruler. So if you're ever confused as to what you can do, just right click it and you'll get a menu with your options. And the same thing with tooltips. If you hover the mouse over our buttons, tooltips show up, letting us know what it does. Locking, snapping, grid, and so on. Where the volume is set, where the pan is set, and just about anything else we hover over. And we can also customize every menu in Reaper. All these menus can all be changed how you prefer to work, along with adjusting the theme. The color layout, what we're seeing, is called a theme. We can change it in the options menu, under themes, to default 3.0, which looks like this, or 4.0, which looks like this, or 5.0, or you can customize your own themes or download them from any user that created them. And there's a whole bunch to choose from. Let's put it back to the default. And with the default, we could also choose the theme adjuster, where we can readjust the track control panel from here, what we see and don't see, our mixer, create custom colors right from here, using different palettes. And we can also dim them right from here if they're too bright. And we could also adjust the preferences. Go under Options, choose Preferences, and in this window, we can adjust the preferences for the entire application. Each one of these sections works on different things: General, Project, Audio, and so on. And finally, we have Actions. Right here, Show Action List. And in this window, all the actions that are performed in Reaper can be readjusted in here. We can create custom actions or just assign different keyboard shortcuts to our favorite ones. Just select it, hit a keyboard shortcut right here. And that keyboard shortcut is going to trigger that action. And as you can see, there's a lot of them. Everything you want to do in Reaper is going to be triggered by an action. So it's all customizable for you. So that's the basics. Let's get into more detail using Reaper 6 in the rest of the series. Let's go.